thank you very much for joining me now for episode number 13 of Mantell Associates Network. I'm joined by a man who needs no introduction, Harry Rathore, who is ex-Lonza, ex-Alcami, and has also been a CEO in a number of organizations, sitting on the board as well. So Harry is extremely busy at the moment in terms of sitting on the board in different businesses, consulting, and also advising different organizations on the forefront of COVID-19. So Harry, absolute pleasure having you on today. I know that we were connected for a little while and had a lot in common in terms of the market and things like that, which is brilliant. I wanted to start off with and go straight into it really, I wanted to get your kind of personal opinion on COVID-19, how you see it from your perspective and everything around it.
Well, thank you, Alessandro, for inviting me for this podcast. It is my great pleasure to be here, to talking to you, connecting with you. We never met before, but nevertheless, this is our first virtual meeting, and I'm glad that we connected. Regarding the COVID, as you just introduced me, I have a long career in the pharmaceuticals. And I can tell you I cannot be more proud to be part of this fraternity, what this fraternity has delivered in 2020. I must tell you, never let a good crisis go to waste. And that is a very important. Any leader, a business leader, should never let a good crisis go to waste. So, I give you a little bit of a story. First time I sold the company, Callery LLC, to Ascensus, and in January we were traveling to Asia with myself and the executive team of the new company. We first landed in Singapore, and that is the first time we see the news coming out from Wuhan in January, early January. Then we were in India, and everybody was talking about the antiviral, because India is a big producer of antiviral. 90% of antiviral, particularly for the HIV and the vaccines, comes from India. And everybody was in the mask. And by the time we turned around and we came back, this became a much bigger. At that time, it was an epidemic, but now it is a pandemic, and it basically spread so fast. But nevertheless, the science, and that's why I say the pharmaceutical industry, just to think about the collaboration in the pharmaceutical industry. It started in Wuhan. The Chinese scientists basically did the whole genome sequence of the whole genome of the COVID. And they basically published it. Generally, in pharmaceutical industry, the confidentiality is so important, but they published it. Once they published it, the whole world knew about it, that this is the sequence, what the sequence you can hit it to develop a vaccine, which gives you the antibodies. Oxford came out with one technology, and BioNTech in Germany, as well as Moderna here, they came out with a messenger RNA. I have never seen in my life a vaccine was developed so quickly within 12 to 15 months. Yeah. With a collaboration, and that's what I say. I'm so proud to be part of this fraternity which has delivered. And it is not over yet, but nevertheless, I am very positive that we will have this whole thing behind us sometime by the middle of 2021.
Thank you so much for that, and it is looking really, really promising. And I am with you 100% in terms of the speed and how everything has gone. And I heard you say 15 to 18 months rolling out a vaccine. That is crazy. We had a gentleman, Terry Novak, the CEO of Salubrant CDMO, come on the podcast last, and he had mentioned that he thinks that this is going to become more common. Drugs are going to be sped up in terms of how they can come to the market. Everything is going to become more efficient. And what they've shown through vaccination and through rolling out the vaccine is that it's going to have a positive impact, not only on COVID, but on many other diseases and the speed. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so now you will see as you see, pneumonia vaccine took almost 20 years to develop. Okay, and the HIV have no vaccine so far, and it has been so many years. So it is not. But now, what seems to me, both the the platform which has been developed, the messenger RNA platform which has been developed, that platform could be utilized for the speed up in the developing the number of other vaccines in the future. And not only that, this messenger RNA platform could be used for a number of other therapeutic areas, particularly in the oncology. And there is a number of drugs, if you see the pipeline of the Moderna and others, they are in the area of oncology. So I have to tell you the platform, the technology platform, the science ultimately won in combating this virus.
Yeah, incredible, incredible, and I mean everything linked to it has been absolutely crazy, and there's been a lot of decisions, I guess, with lockdowns and things like that, where governments haven't done it right. Like the UK government is a prime example of giving people like 1 day's notice and doing it wrong, but the science has been phenomenal in terms of everything. I wanted to get and really kind of pick your brains as much as possible. You are a veteran in the CDMO space, and working in the CDMO space across active pharmaceutical ingredients, biologics is what you've done throughout your career. What sort of market trends linked to outsourcing um, do you see in the CDMO space or affecting the CDMO space?
Yeah, well, you see, the CDMO space is continuously going to be growing. There are some other positive things I do want to tell. For an example, while the whole industry, pharma industry, was focused on COVID research, but the other programs did not suffer. In 2020, 53 FDA, US FDA approved 53 new chemical entities, new molecular entities, NMEs, whereas in 19 it was 48. So the other programs are still running, and because of this other programs, I mean, it will be ultimately everybody is looking at it. What is their core competence? Take an example of the COVID-19. My previous company, Lonza, is the biggest producer. They are going to be producing right now from the Portsmouth as well as Switzerland more than 300 million doses of Moderna vaccine, and their ambitions is to produce 1 billion doses of COVID vaccine. So what is happening is the biomanufacturing assets are getting tied up with 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 the production of these vaccines, and rightly so. But what is happening? There are a number of new entities are coming up, new entities, new contract manufacturers are coming up, which ultimately will be adding more capacity. So, answer your question is outsourcing trend is continue to grow. Biologics is the area which people should be. The CDMO will grow more rapidly than the small molecule.
Yeah.
And the third, the biomanufacturing capacity constraint will continue as it was in 2020. They will continue in 2021.
Incredible, and it seems like a really exciting time for CDMO as a whole, and with a lot of deals that are coming up. Of course, you mentioned Lonza. That is absolutely incredible, the amount that they've had. And I guess when everything is being done at such speed and at such volume and with such accuracy as well, it creates in another side a lot more stress, in particular for leaders of organizations who are at the moment having to make, especially those, by the way, in companies that you've been a part of and CEOs of, where they're having to make quick fire business and health decisions at rapid speed. And their decisions can impact the fate of the business for the short and long term. So it's really more pressure than ever before and more spotlight on CEOs of biologics and vaccines and viral vector manufacturing organizations. What challenges and what opportunities do you see for leaders right now and post-COVID as well, by the way?
The CEO of the pharmaceutical CDMO. I think my views are, I believe the business leader's life has to be a balance of ambitions and compassion. You have an ambition to be, I will give you an example. Everybody has an ambition to be a Lonza. How many times I feel, how many times I feel, I was there when the Lonza first invested $500 million in Portsmouth side to start the biologics. And there is a lot of my peers in the industry basically shouted, what a stupid idea Lonza has. Biologics is not even an entity. This is no drugs are approved. I am talking in early 80s, late 80s, you know. And now today, Lonza basically is a very respectable and largest CDMO, both in the case of the small molecule as well as the large molecule.
Mm.
What are the CEO's challenges are, and I think that is in your area because you see the lot of scientific talent has been tied up, and there is a real need for the scientific talent. If you have to bring the discovery fast enough, you need good business development people
Mm.
who can ultimately convince the sponsor of the pharmaceutical company that you can speed up your development and bringing this drug to the market by outsourcing the staff which are not your core competence. Yeah. And second,
Yeah.
you need the scientist who can develop it quickly enough. So, from the employee growth perspective, as I see in the future, is going to be a scientist, adoption, quick adoption of this thing, and third is more into the business development. In the COVID environment, as you see, and in the board of the Ascensus where I sit, our biggest challenge is the business development people cannot be on the plane because you have to see face to face to create your value proposition. You are not face to face, although it has given rise to digitalization, digital. We are talking on Zoom.
Yeah.
You have internally, you have a Microsoft Teams. It works. Don't take me wrong. It works very effective, but nothing can replace a face to face because you need to read a body language of a person with whom you will be setting up and putting your billion-dollar molecules in the hand of that CDMO.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And it's interesting the different discussions that we've had with different leaders. Every single person agrees that face-to-face is absolutely king in terms of business, in terms of trusting a person, getting a feeling for a person. It is king. However, a lot of people have also said that, of course, the time that they spent flying, the cost of the flights, now linked in for maybe going for one or two meetings, now they're able to spend more time on different Zoom meetings and different conversations, which in turn can generate more. So although I think somewhere in the middle, a good kind of mixture is going to be key. I love what you said about adaptation. And for CEOs, it's about being able to adapt at the moment and adapt quickly. What areas do you feel they're having to, C-suite individuals, leaders in the pharmaceutical industry, what do you think we're having to adapt to?
Yeah, you see, couple of things I will mention, and COVID has definitely, in this challenging time, COVID has definitely teach. Digitalization is not new. Industry was moving into the digitalization. Although the COVID has facilitated that. Believe it or not, I am in the Zoom meetings every day, and I have to tell you, it works very, very well. It increases the productivity and all kind of things. But what did not go, where I think that there was an opportunities are, for an example, we have in Essences, we had a program which is you take the graduate for the training in their third and the final year. We basically give them the training, internship programs. Those internship programs have been canceled. These are the people, they are the future, the workforce of the company. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
And that is second, localization. If somewhere CDMO is sitting in India and want to have an ambition to be into the European sales, you cannot send an Indian sales or business development person to very effectively to go to UK or to go to Europe, to Germany to do the business. It's not. You have to have a localization. You have to hire the right people has who is in the same space where the geographically located. Those are the some things which we are missing. So I 100% agree with you. I think after the COVID, post-COVID world, there will be a hybrid strategy that you can have digital, the Zoom and all kind of things that you don't have to work every day, have to come to the office, but nevertheless you can work and focus more from a tactical point of view instead of a tactical focus more on the strategic projects. So if you ask me what the COVID has given me, two things. I used to travel 50% of the time. Now I have not traveling for the last 1 year. It has given me a time to focus on planning for the strategic projects, which I have put it because I am putting off fire of the day-to-day challenges I have to face as a CEO. Rather, I am spending more time, and as the things will be going into a hybrid, CEO will be having a little bit more time to spend more on the strategic focus for the future, guiding the future of the company. Second, is the leadership, the first layer, second layer, and the third layer. The leadership and the pyramid has to be very strong because a good leader has to ultimately make himself redundant to give the second guy to come in. Otherwise, you will never develop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, incredible. And from a leadership point of view, I mean, when we first went into lockdown in March, Mantell Associates was a completely startup business, 1 year and 3 months in, and it was a scary situation. But I think through doing what we're doing today, and of course, a lot of these vaccine viral vector manufacturers and all CDMOs and all pharmaceutical businesses are now more than ever looking to grow and expand their teams, which means that they're doing interviews just like this, how they wouldn't have done before, which meant that everything has been able to move forward at speed as well, which has created opportunities. I wanted to see from and kind of get your opinion on areas of value creation within CDMO right now, not only now but in the future as well. What areas do you see?
I think the value creation is more. Okay. So let's try to. If you see the most of the innovation into the new drug molecules, all the therapies is coming from the small companies. Okay. Take an example of the vaccine. I come back to the COVID 19. COVID 19, BioNTech is a small company in Germany. Yeah. Moderna is a small company in Boston. Yeah. But they could not able to bring this drug into the market. Oxford could not able to bring the drug into the market, so they need the muscle power of AstraZeneca, who has a core competence on the regulatory, running the clinical trial and distributing the drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what will happen in the future is the drug will continue to innovation will continue to come from the smaller companies, but they will need partners who ultimately will bring the drug to the market. And both people, it will be a synergetic relation. So that is the one driver is going to happen. Second driver is going to happen, in my opinion, that there will be a more looking into more vertical integration, forward integration. Case in point is the COVID-19. Some of the things, Pfizer could able to launch the drug much faster than Moderna because Moderna has to make the active drug at Lonza and then do the formulation at Catalent. You know what I mean? So there is a delay is involved. So if you have so there will be leaders will be looking into CDMO. CDMO leaders will be looking into more vertical integration, one-stop shop, so they can produce the active as well as they can produce the formulations.
Incredible, and a great perspective, and something I've not heard before. I guess something which is hugely important as well for different people at this point in time, running companies, running divisions inside manufacturing companies where people are having pressure like never before. What advice would you give to CEOs across the board?
I think the COVID has taught the CEOs, the leaders, that sometimes you have to, while shareholders are important, numbers are important, but you have to have the empathy and the compassion for the people. Take an example. If in Essence's board, we had so much of discussions goes on. There are mothers, working mothers. The schools are closed down. The children cannot go to school. The mothers have only two choices: either quit the job and take care of the kids, or work from home. So they need a flexible hour working. And then if the leaders are not empathetic enough to accommodate those kind of a thing, you cannot buy a loyalty. I'm a firm believer, if you do those gestures, the productivity, those employees are going to retain with the company for a very long period of time, and they will remain loyal and productive for a very long period of time. So COVID has definitely teased the leaders, move away. Let's do the poll, a little poll, move the poll from a number only. And I think the industry is recognizing it. So that is empathy in the leadership. And the second thing is, these leaders now, more than the CEO, chief executive officer sitting in the corner office, they are becoming more and more of the chief people's officer.
Yes.
Okay. So they are ultimate. What is the asset? Everybody has the pots and pans. Yes. Your assets are your people and your science, and the leaders have to focus on these two aspects of it, and then develop the second and the third layers, who ultimately provide the continuous growth of the company.
Absolutely love that. And Ram Sadapa, who is the CEO of Laxi, an amazing guy, he basically said the same thing. Chief People Officer, that's the role. Your role is to serve and to look after people, but also to make sure that the company is following the direction that they wish to go in. And I guess that is always hard to have that empathy and that human touch, especially during a time like right now where there's more pressure for results and speed than ever before. So a really hard balance. I wanted to say as well, your quote that you said at the start of this, never waste a good crisis. It's a quote from Winston Churchill. And I actually put it in an article I put on LinkedIn a little while ago. And I think it has to be said that across the board, across the pharmaceutical world, across everything, this crisis hasn't gone to waste, has it?
Correct. I agree with you. I think if we would means the people, the leaders, what all has happening today, keep the politics out of it. I think the leaders ultimately step up and they deliver. And I think that is what leadership is all about. Leaders they have a social responsibility. They have a social responsibility for their employees, for their stakeholders, as well as to their communities. And I think that is what the today's leaders have done. And as I said in my opening remark, I am basically fortunate to have a very long inning in this industry, 30 plus years, work globally in a different place. And I'm very fortunate to have that opportunity to be a part of this fraternity.
Amazing. Harry, thank you so much for all of your advice, all of your thoughts on everything. Hugely appreciate and thank you so much for coming on to Mantell Associates Network. It has been brilliant having you, and we'll talk really soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Pleasure. Bye for now.